And it begins. He's here, Daddy Ruru. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo. How are you? How was your yesterday?
Do you know, we had a fantastic trip back to Cape Coast with producer Derek Eko, Sam, and myself and the rest of the crew. We went to do something rather interesting in my house. But also the Sugar Project had a big event in El Nina.
Since you went to your house, did you talk to your father about the fishes?
Oh, yeah. We got into everything. I never miss an opportunity to debate national issues with my father when I see him. But yeah, it was a great trip. Great trip.
A good one there. But of course, we're here. It's another Wednesday, and usually we'll bring you the latest business stories from Business Directorate. And on AM Biz this morning, which is brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, by the way, we'll be telling you about the latest business issues, which of course is remaining topical on your great discussion platforms.
Indeed. And of course, at the moment, business seems to be the news, whether it's the banks or whether it's layoffs. Everybody's thinking about the economy and business. But you know what? Ghana may soon join the likes of Argentina, Austria, Mexico to issue that rare century bond, 100-year bond, to finance national projects. The president announced this at a ceremony in Beijing to sign some 8 Ghana-China cooperation agreements. So everybody's been talking about these ultra long-term debts, but the discussions have been fraught with some uncertainty, due in part to interest rate fluctuations that can lower yields for investors. However, some analysts say that there's a growing demand for these type of bonds. Many of these long-term bonds contain an option that lets the issuer partially or fully repay the debt before the scheduled maturity. So the question now is, what does this mean for our economy? We'll find out when we speak to Dr. Lord Mensah. Roland will be going across to the University of Ghana Business School to engage with him and help us understand this phenomenon as well as we can.
Well, Argentina, though, they need some help from the IMF, and that's the latest. Their currency, the peso, has been fluctuating like a dancing bear that is going down the drain in the water. So we'll see how that goes. They owe lots of money across the world in floated bonds, and having received a lot of aid from the IMF as well as the other Bretton Woods institutions.
Indeed. So I think it's important. This conversation really does have to include what the IMF thinks about Ghana's proposals, because we're not yet out of an IMF program. Let's not forget that.
Not at all.
So not a lot of what we're planning can be done without the input or the the blessing of the IMF. So let's find out what they have to say about it.
Well, also on the show today, Kojo Jansen had a great conversation with Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. You know him, Executive Director of IDEC, that's the Institute for Democratic Governance, and they talked about varied issues, among other things, all the latest governance issues, whether he was approached to be the next chairman of the Electoral Commission, and his own assessment of the performance so far of the Akufo-Addo-led government, as well as other related issues on our democracy and how we can better equip ourselves with getting to know the indicators of democracy that gets to shore up our ratings as far as how well we're doing with the practice of the whole governance system.
Indeed. Well, yeah. Then, of course, we'll wrap up with some showbiz news brought to you by Awake Purified Water. It's probably Bex who's going to be in the studio. Yeah, it's been a while since I saw young Bex, so we'll get straight into it. But first, the news.